It is 6:05 on Thursday, April 7th, and I'm calling the Finance Committee meeting to order. Tonight we have Karina from Recreation and Sarah from Safe Place. So who wants to go first? Don't fight.
It doesn't matter. I just have to let you know, I don't have a printed copy of my budget because we had no internet today, so I couldn't print my
You
own
want to
budget.
see mine?
I don't know if you, do you want me to go through it or?
Yes,
Okay.
Yes, please.
I have our kind of like year-to-dates, but thank you. I
There you
appreciate
go.
it.
And then yours is right. Oh, you have
Right.
yours. Okay.
She has
So-
it. She printed ahead of time, but I did not. Okay, so I think for recreation,
We're doing recreation first?
yes, yep.
Karina does recreation.
So as you can see, it's pretty much kind of comparable to FY22. I think we'll be back to, I was just thinking like 2019 was the last real year we had. So there's, kind of like level from 2019 up a little bit. We do have increases in minimum wage that we scaled up our pay scale a lot from 2019 actually, but that's about it. Everything else is pretty comparable. I anticipate that we'll be back to kind of normal programming for the most part.
So, in the past, we have received, can't honestly remember, I'm sorry, if it was from you or if it was from previous, but like a list that said, we ran this. This is what we brought in, this is
Yeah.
what we spent, this is what we made,
I
that kind
have
of
that
stuff.
year to date for this year.
Perfect.
It didn't make any sense to do it for FY21
Nope.
because it was just didn't.
Nope. And then it's just, so you made money on the pool, on the camp.
Yeah.
Because that's what you guys said last year, is that's what makes you guys the money. So
Yeah,
that's good.
exactly.
So.
Yeah, it's one of the programs that
Yep.
generates
Perfect.
revenue.
Okay.
I mean, they all generate revenue. Some generate a surplus.
Right, no, yeah, it just. Can we have this?
Yep.
Okay, because then I'll
Absolutely.
scan it in and send it to everybody.
Okay.
You guys can all look through it though.
And I actually have summer programs. I don't know if it's clear to you, but summer programs are broken down two different ways because we kind of like sell our pool passes and register for kids for camp in one FY and then run the program in the other FY. So I
Prepaid
do.
in one and then it's used.
Yeah,
in the-
so I do keep track of like what the season itself, what the end result of that was. So that's in there also.
Perfect.
Okay.
So, the budget request was 210,000?
That's yes.
Okay.
Yep.
And do you know what the TA, the town administrator's budget was for this? Did it stay the same?
It was the same. He
Okay.
he verified it with me last week sometime, so
Okay.
it should be the same.
But it's a revolving fund, so
Right.
there's a budget, but it's more of the spending limit that she's only allowed to bring in this and spend this, that's
Right.
it.
Right.
So,
But it's a plan for spending.
exactly,
Correct.
exactly.
Okay.
So you are expecting a lot more income to come in because as of, this as of 131? 131.22, you guys only had $94,000 in your account.
That was before camp registration,
Perfect.
so yeah, it's considerably more.
Perfect. Nope, that's fine.
Okay.
It's just to make sure, that's
Yeah,
all.
we took
I
in-
understand you guys do all this, you
Yeah.
get the money, and then it waits, it's
Yeah.
prepaid until you use it. I
Yeah,
just-
we took in like $60,000 on our first day of camp registration, so
Wow.
that gets us to
Almost like
where we
a
need to be.
birthday.
So.
Does anybody have any questions?
Nope.
We drug her out, and no one has any questions.
Pretty basic.
She was out on Monday, and now we had to drug her out again tonight.
Any big repair projects, any big, you want me to ask something, I guess?
Go ahead. Go ahead.
So, we have the warrant article to repair, we had some bathroom issues last year with, there's you know, the sag in the pipe under the pool house. So we have the warrant article from fall town meeting to repair that. Other than that, you know, we don't know when we're gonna find when we open the pool, but we always kind of figure that into a cushion in the account to deal with
So
those sort of things.
what's the article for the warrant?
That was the one from last fall, that they were fixing the toilets because the toilets weren't flushing.
Okay.
And they were gonna have to dig
And
up
that was approved.
yes.
Yes,
And
yes.
has it been done?
They're starting the work soon. They just did like a scope to see exactly. They have to figure out where to cut the pipes so they don't dig up too much floor.
Okay.
So that's not a new warrant article
Oh,
then?
it sounds
No,
like you
no,
had a
no.
new article coming up on the warrant. Okay, never mind, that's fine then.
No.
Last fall.
Okay,
Last fall,
yeah, no, I understand that one. I
Yeah,
thought
the repairs haven't been done, but we have the money approved
Right.
for it.
How much income do you get from Paxton for using the pool, or do you get any from that?
We do. We charge them kind of like based on our cost plus a a percentage, kind of like a overhead fee. I want to say it's $90 an hour, something to that effect. But they also spend a large amount of money at the snack shack, so it's actually a very big plus for us to have them there.
Okay,
All set.
you're in the clear.
Perfect. I'll
Thank
give
you
you your
very much.
reminder back.
You're in the clear. Thank you very much.
No problem.
And here we have Sarah. We're safe place.
Yes. So similar to what Karina said, we kind of have to look back at like FY '22 and FY '19 for comparable numbers. We've had an influx of families come into town. We've had a lot of new registrations, so I did increase what I expect to receive in revenue for next year. That was with no increase in fees for next year, but we may actually do a small increase. The cost of food that we supply to them is just so much higher this year than it's been in past years. But as far as salaries and wages, that just went the 2% cost of living increase that we put in. I did increase purchase services in the past few years. Pre-COVID, we brought in a lot more outside activities for the kids to the school, so we did increase that. And then a slight increase in supplies. We did receive an ARPA grant, so we've received 4 months worth of payments. We received September through December. We received that in January, and we're like pending recertification for January through March. But it brings in an additional $8,600 a month. That the funds from like September to December are a little bit stricter in what we can use them for, but the ones January going forward, it's pretty open. So I know when she went to the department head meeting the other night, there was talk about like some sort of rec building and what this money can be used for, and we're trying to find out like if it can be used for projects like that or if it's only program-specific items.
So part of the town's ARPA funds went to
Nope,
you?
this was
It's a
totally
separate and
separate.
apart.
Yep.
This is, okay, because
Yep.
I'm like, wait a second, I don't remember
Yeah, no,
that
this
now.
was totally separate with the
Nice.
Department of
Nice.
Education. Yeah, so that was good.
Very nice.
Yeah, helped us since we didn't make any money for, from 2020 all the way through last school year, so.
I mean, it fits.
Yep,
It was loss of
absolutely.
revenue, and
Yep.
that was what you had.
Yep. Some of the staff received bonuses because most of the staff were not able to file unemployment because they also worked for the district, so
Mhm.
they lost our income but didn't make up for it on the other end.
How many kids currently?
So we're licensed for 104. I have right around there registered, but I would say about 40 kids a day at each program. So some of the kids aren't full-time. We had a lot of families this year that registered to be full-time, and then life didn't completely go back to normal for some families. Some are still, remote or working from home and stuff a few days a week. So
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But that's okay.
Yeah.
It's still good.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
Pretty straightforward.
Well, thank you, ladies. Sorry, drug you out on
Thank
this
you.
very
Sure,
yeah,
that's okay.
happy night.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Have a nice evening.
Yeah,
Have a
you
good
too,
night.
thanks.
Don't expect it to go that easy on you. You hit the general fund.
Yeah.
so our next person this evening would be Ms. Tamika Murphy in regards to the ZBA.
Approved.
Next.
Motion to adjourn.
Second. I'm here.
All right. So I did speak to the chair about this. And Karen, I assume you sent everybody the
I did.
email.
You guys all should have received the email yesterday.
So I basically just tried to explain how I came to the number that I did. I calculated it based out on 12 months just because I have a little bit of concern with how long it's going to take for the Attorney General to approve the account. And then once we get it going, we're starting at 0. And the other concern that I have is sometimes, more often than not, the applications we get are not just a one and done. It's usually, it takes several hearings, meetings from start to finish. So a lot of times the fee that the applicant pays doesn't end up covering all of my time that goes into it once it kind of keeps going down the road. So I don't think that in the revolving fund we're ever going to have like a really good cushion. I think it's going to be kind of the fee that comes in will either just cover that particular application with maybe a little left over, or maybe we're going to go over and not have enough. So that's why I was just trying to make sure that there was enough in the account so that I didn't have to come back for a reserve fund transfer. That was my thought on that as far as the wages. With the purchase services, I think we can probably stay at the 300. I was telling Karen last night, I had it at 54, but the Telegram and Gazette switched hands, and so now the fee is $99 and change. And that's as low as I can get it because I've cut the hearing notice down as far as I can, but while still keeping what state law requires is in there. So that will essentially, the 300 would get us through with like basically publishing 3 hearing notices. So those are my thoughts, and you guys can say it works or say we need less, but I just wanted to try to explain where it came from.
So this would not be in the budget. This would be part of the warrant article to fund your 53, is it a G? It's a
I think it's a
53G?
53E and a half.
Okay, E and a half,
technically.
okay.
Yeah, and a half.
I was like,
yeah.
I don't know, is it a G, is it?
I know, it's kind of weird how
Yeah.
that goes.
So, this would be part of the warrant article for their revolving fund. We would be funding it. So,
Until it's passed?
and no, we would be funding it so that there's something in there for them to pay out, because it takes, so if it gets approved, it takes what, 4 months?
That's what Peter said about that, yeah.
So 4 months. So are you looking to have this in, you don't want this in the revolving fund then, you want this in your budget?
We're gonna need something in the budget because we can't even touch that account until the AG says it's
Okay.
okay.
So then we're gonna be putting it, never mind, ignore me.
So it becomes a budget item.
Becomes a budget item.
Okay.
I mean, I can't see any reason why it wouldn't be approved at town meeting, but if for some strange reason it wasn't, I'd wanna make sure we could still
Yeah,
conduct
function.
business.
Yeah.
And we do have a few things in the pipeline right now. I do anticipate that the cell tower is probably gonna go into next fiscal year. So I do foresee, and especially during spring, summer, early fall, that's when we get the most applications. And that's also gonna be the time that we're waiting to see if, how long it takes for it to get approved from the AG. So it's kinda like this weird balancing act of,
So would you, alright, so approval being what approval is, and it comes whenever it comes. What you're submitting as a budget is an annual amount.
correct.
Are you, I guess the thought would be we fund the annual amount. And then when the account gets approved, when AJ approves it, pay back out of that, or just let it sit there and build?
That I don't know, because until we have this account, any fees that we collect in that time frame is still gonna be going back into the general fund. So, I don't know how that would work, where if we budgeted a can you do that? Can you budget a certain amount and then almost transfer that into the revolving
No.
fund? No, you can't.
No.
You have to keep them
What you
separate.
would be doing is you'd be funding once you got the approval, you'd be funding your revolving account.
Right.
Okay, and then you'd be paying it out of the budget. Then once you have enough just start paying out of it. You'd be stop paying it from this and paying it from here.
So almost kind of creating like a little bit of a cushion. So that
Exactly.
it's not like
To begin with.
apt to
Yeah.
Right,
getting
exactly.
paid out. Okay.
Right.
That
So,
sounds-
and then in the end, whatever you have left in the budget would flow through to free cash.
Okay.
So,
That makes sense.
so you're saying $1,500 in clerical, and you think $300 in purchase services would be enough.
Yep, I'm hoping.
That gives you $1,800, and you think $1,800 is enough.
I do. Rick
Okay.
proposed 2,000. I think we can make it work at 1,800, as long as the TNT doesn't throw us any more curveballs on the fee.
Okay. Any thoughts, discussions?
I have 2 questions.
Go ahead.
So, I told you I don't get to read many of these emails. The numbers you just mentioned look nothing like what are in here or here.
That is correct.
All right. That's because that's what the email explained?
Right, exactly. She's,
Yeah.
what Ron
I mean,
put
it's
in-
about double, but it's still a very small amount of money.
Right, Ron put in 350 and 300, and right now, that wouldn't even pretty much would only cover 2 notices, maybe 3,
Yeah.
and your labor, it would be what, 2, maybe 3 hearing,
Yeah.
if that?
If that,
So
yeah.
it's not gonna be enough to get her anywhere near, we undercut them last year, because we had to, and that's why we're paying out of the reserve fund and all that kind of stuff, no different than every other line, but.
So what I did, Ted, is I just basically, I calculated how many hours I've worked so far this fiscal year, which was 61.75 hours. It came out to $1,048. I broke it down monthly. It was approximately $131 a month, and then I just multiplied it by 12, just to kind of come up with like a complete number.
Annualize it.
Yeah.
All right, then I have one other question. In looking at what's in this budget book here, this has probably been explained to me before and I just forget, but back in FY 2018, there was like $17,000, almost $18,000 in clerical salary. And then that just vaporized in 2019. Why was that?
That sounds like a huge amount.
It went from
Can't believe they ever.
$17,829 down to $235.
Doesn't sound
Doesn't
right.
sound right.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's huge.
I don't think I have.
Error.
Historically, the ZBA
We-
has been a very sporadic board. They really didn't have a lot of business. And in the
I don't
past
think
couple
I
of
have that
years,
problem.
with the zoning
No, I don't.
enforcement actually being enforced, it has resulted in a lot more applications
Can
coming.
you see what you were looking at for 2017? Oh, from that one, yeah.
Yeah, it's on
Thanks.
that one,
in the-
17,
it's in
29.
the-
I thought it was on the
Yeah.
front one.
Wow,
I think it's,
that's a lot.
I think that's.
But I do remember that
Error.
we were taking some from it because we've always been taking away because we didn't need it, we didn't need it, we didn't need it, we
Right.
didn't need it, and then of
Yeah.
course, you needed it.
Because I started with them in 2018, so before that it would have been Lynn. But even then, I mean, they were maybe meeting twice a year, so I can't imagine why that number was so high.
Just what the budget was,
It just
doesn't
was what it
mean that they
was.
used it, just
Yeah.
means that that's,
So then they probably cut it because it didn't make sense to.
Although it's,
Hold it.
that says actual spending, so is it really actual
I-
spending?
that I couldn't tell you without going back through.
Yeah, we'd have to go back and look at that. That doesn't
I don't
sound-
think it's worth it,
No, but I don't know.
I
It sounds
don't
odd.
think it's meant, no. Go ahead.
I don't think that was
You
it.
always tell me no.
Exactly, that's what I always tell everybody.
Yeah, did you put in a cost of living increase in that? You said that you took 131 something and divided it and multiplied it. Everybody else has given themselves
Not.
2%. That's just my observation.
I did not do
Up
that.
to- Great.
Right.
I know, I just
Oh,
spent
boy.
2% more.
Darn it. I was on a roll, and I
Put it
my
back to
moment.
2000.
But I've learned nothing, I guess, from everybody else to put in that 2%.
2000
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
So make that wages the 1,700 and the purchase services 300. Right?
Get you
Oh, no,
whatever you
you
want.
figure on a number, okay.
Well, yeah. I think it's 1603 instead of 15. It's not been a good day all in all, so.
Thank you for mentioning that. I completely
Why
forgot.
don't we just put it at 2,000? Avoid the coming back again and doing all that.
It's a nice round number.
That's true.
That goes back into free cash, it's not used, so it's not.
Yep.
And it's not a huge amount of money.
Okay, that all being said, guys, just remember, we have still some finagling to do, so I get it, but don't go crazy, it's not like we're sitting on a plethora of
What we
cash.
can do is we can cut it, and then we can put it in the middle of the year if you want. We can cut it in half or something. If
Well,
you wanna do
hopefully-
it, do you wanna do it now, or do you wanna do it later?
Well, do we know where we are now?
Well, yes and no.
Right.
So, in the end, let's leave it at the 2,000, but just know, guys, that we're still finagling through all this, cause,
Yeah.
like, Tommy, I think it was you that said we should add more money to the reserve fund for the extra money from, extra $5,000 from where? You said it one
Veterans.
night, and
Veterans?
that's it, veterans. In case
Oh,
they
oh.
might need that.
And Kate, because that way
Yeah.
it will be available to be used
Exactly.
if we need it.
So you're right, and we have, so, I'm gonna send you a bunch of emails for you guys to read through these. Currently, with the cost of fuel the way it is, our fuel budget is very much under budget. It will not last through fiscal year 2023. I heard today that our fuel will go into the red, I believe, tomorrow. So,
So the fuel that we're using now wasn't prepaid then?
they don't prepay it.
So we're talking gas for the vehicles?
Yeah,
Yes.
talking
Okay.
gas and diesel, not heat and fuel.
Well, that's another
Want
thing.
the other one too?
That's another
Tell
one.
them to wear sweaters.
So it's the diesel fuel has gone way up, obviously. We did not prepare for that. I don't think any of us could. I will send you exactly how they do. By signing the contract, you don't prepay it. You just get less in the transportation fees. Joe has spelled it all out. I'll send it to you guys so you guys can read it through. But pretty much the cost of the stuff is still the cost of the stuff. You just don't pay as much for transportation.
Right, okay.
So, we're going to have to increase that. He's hoping that they can use ARPA funds to cover this year's shortage, because we will not be able to fund the shortage with the reserve fund transfer. So, I will send you guys all that tonight, and you guys can read through it and see where we're at, but we budgeted less than what we spent, just a little bit more than what we spent that we budgeted in 2022, and costs have gone way up, as everybody knows who has a car.
Hmm.
And the ambulance and the fire trucks are all diesel, so snow plows, all those things.
Oh, it's,
We haven't switched over to electric vehicles yet, so. So,
If we were in the same boat, the electric price would be a skyrocketing
exactly,
if that
yeah,
was
I
the
get,
case.
listen,
we have,
Either way.
how would you charge them? We
School.
don't have charging stations, we have to,
Well, they'd have to be put, if we get electric vehicles.
just
to
plug
put
them into
in.
school.
Yeah, right.
I like that one.
The DPW trucks parked around the school.
and extension cords coming out the windows.
Yes,
Well, I just wanted to say the same thing I said before, and the same thing I put in that email we responded back to 3 or 4 weeks ago. I think that somebody's gotta say to the departments, they gotta stop. I know with the budgets were cut, I know they're slim, I'm not questioning that.
Mhm.
But some of the things that were gonna be bought maybe can't be bought now with the way the things are going. There's gonna have to be cut so that by June, that there's money in other accounts to shift to these ones that we have no control over.
right.
So, do we have any idea where we are relative to the percentage of spending in the percentage of the year? If we're 75% through the year, we 75% spending?
We
Or,
are going to be 100% on the fuel line as of tomorrow.
all
is
right, the
what I
fuel,
think.
yes, but I mean in total.
We can get that expense.
Okay.
I mean, she sends them out periodically. We
Right.
can get them. I can ask.
I mean, but that's, to Tommy's point, that's what needs to be done. If we can't do anything about the fuel and it's going crazy, we might have to stop spending someplace else for a period of time.
Even though we don't want to, we're
Right.
gonna have to.
So,
That,
let's,
And as was said last September at one of our meetings, we were asking about expenses, and the town administrator here said, well, really gonna get a better view of that in the last few months, which you do. So that's exactly what you're saying, is that's where we're at.
Yeah,
I can get the expense budget from, and send that out. We probably won't get it until Monday, but we'll see.
Oh, that's okay, I gotta catch up on the other 42 emails, so everybody else.
I have no idea.
he's got his weekend planned.
does, okay.
So, what does everyone else think about that idea of asking for people to, I don't wanna say cease spending, but curb spending as best they can?
Well, I think it's a brilliant idea. I really do. I think the idea here is that they should be looking at their expenses and understanding those things that they can avoid, like gasoline. Ambulance has got to have gas to make a run, so does the fire and the police. But do they need to be able to buy that vest or defibrillator, or, pick something? And can they put that off to another year?
I would think that the vest and the defibrillator are more important to buy than perhaps maybe shake that toner cartridge a little bit more.
Well, okay, so I would agree with that.
Peter was trying, that's what he's trying to say.
I know.
I
get it. Shake the toner cartridge a little bit more.
You're right.
I don't wanna put anybody at risk.
Well, I think that the selectmen are gonna have to come up with that.
Well, the
We
thing
have our
is,
government,
That's what I'm
so-
saying.
the thing is, I was going to say, we should make a motion and vote on it, and then we can send an email to the select board saying, could you please send this out to the departments and ask them to do this, because that's not under our purview to do that, as
Correct.
selectmen. So
Correct,
it would
absolutely.
just be, hey, listen, we're getting there. We have 3 months left,
Yeah.
and it's gonna be a tight 3 months.
Should we wait until we see the expenses? No?
We already
I
know
think
it's
we
gonna
already
be
know.
tight as hell.
Right.
So,
Well, we have the 23 from the fire station, public safety building, rather. We know we have the 5 from this. We have snow and ice. I mean,
right,
it keeps going up.
Oh, we have another big dollar employee. Town administrator.
Oh,
that
yeah,
money's
well,
gotta
yeah.
come from somewhere.
Yeah, I agree. That's gonna be another issue.
But it's all gonna add up, right?
I agree,
It
but,
is.
So moved.
so, okay. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. Any discussion? Any concerns? All in favor?
Wait.
Okay.
Back to what Darren was saying. Do we do ourselves, the selectmen, anybody a favor if we wait until the reports are there and we can
Be specific.
at least give some specifics? Or do we just throw it out there, let other people try and figure it out? Or do we throw it out there, then take a look, and then throw something else out with more specifics?
Well, I don't think it's really right for us to,
Right.
for us to look at that and say, you can't spend this, you can't
Right,
spend that.
right.
I don't think that's, it's no
Totally.
different. It's really the department head's responsibility to
They know what they actually need.
There you go.
Right.
That's
So,
exactly,
I
they have the
mean,
budget.
yes, there's some things that we all enjoy having, and then there are those items that we can go
Needs
without.
versus wants.
So I guess what, if we had a town administrator, that person would probably have the authority to say to a certain department, you cannot spend that, we're not gonna spend that.
Yes.
Nobody
Who is
has
the
that
town
authority
administrator?
anymore?
Right.
No one has that authority?
Yes, they do.
I know we don't,
The
but,
selectmen do.
Selectmen do.
Okay.
Because
Of course
they're
they do.
ultimately, they're in charge of.
Before we had a town administrator was a selectman, so it's no
And they were
different.
still.
so
even
what I
still-
was getting at was
Still is
more
not.
making recommendations, or, but, I mean, I don't,
I mean, I can get the expense report, we can try to do this, but do we wanna, I mean, ultimately,
No.
I don't think, when you're looking at things and we know we're hitting against things now, we know fuel oil, the heating oil is gonna be high. We know electricity's high, we know fuel's over, we already know all these things that are way over from,
And I think that if we wait, the longer we wait, the more of an opportunity for somebody to spend. I think we just go ahead and we
Well,
say,
that's what I said before too.
Yep, I know.
Absolutely.
I agree with you.
Unless somebody, I agree with you 100%, but unless someone physically tells them they're gonna spend anyways.
Well, that's
But
the thing.
This is what, we're making our recommendation to the
Right.
Board of
We'd
Selectmen.
send,
They
we'd
tell
send a
them
note
that
to,
they've
we'd
gotta
send
tell
the
them.
note
Right.
to the
They got to
town,
tell them now.
Right.
to the
We're,
selectmen.
we, just like Karen just said, we're already hitting walls with numbers we know.
Right.
And it's not up to us to tell them where to cut it or not. It's not us up to tell it where they're gonna spend it. But they're gonna come to us for a recommendation for transfers, and we're gonna have a hard time finding someplace that we can recommend or say we would agree with something coming, because I don't know where we're gonna.
So should what we put in our communication say, there is no more reserve fund, that's gone, right? That's already
the
spoken for?
potential,
I
it
thought-
depend, no, it's the potential,
It's
because
potential, right.
there's 23,611 that is projected, but they're looking to see if they can pull it from other places, so they're looking to see it
Okay.
with best, but that's the number that we had as the projected amount, which we don't have 23,611.
No,
they still don't know.
If what happens if tomorrow somebody calls, we gotta have a meeting, an emergency meeting, because there's an emergency and somebody wants $7,000 out of the reserve fund tomorrow. We may have to, we'd have to look at that and review it and to see what's going on. And where, is it gonna come out of theirs? Yes, the 21,000 is a potential number, but that hasn't been presented to us yet. We know that there's gonna be that amount there that's gotta be covered somewhere. And if it can be covered in other budget numbers that haven't been spent yet, that's where it should be covered.
So this is the shell game of figuring out where we've got
Right.
extras for them to pay for things that are coming down the pike. But,
We shouldn't miss, just my thought, we shouldn't delay a whole lot longer on getting the right information and doing the ARPA fund money to get some of these things. I know there was some that didn't get shot down the other day because they didn't have a town administrator, but they've gotta get beyond that and spend some money of that ARPA money ASAP, or we're gonna be in a deep sneakers here.
yep. So I know, there was some discussion on, amongst people, which you will see in your emails. I just didn't wanna, until we had the conversation, I wanna send it because this way at least you understand the context. There's a lot of them. And it's just trying to make sure they're looking at maybe asking for, I think it was $65,000 or $75,000 for fuel for the rest of the year.
It's a lot of money.
Yeah.
Well, it takes a lot of gas to run an ambulance.
There's no question, it's a lot of money.
It costs a lot of money to run a fire truck.
But it's no different than it was before, that's the thing. It's taking the same amount of fuel to run those things.
It is, it's just now,
It's
the
just
fuel is that
so
much more expensive.
Correct, yeah.
It's no different, it costs you a lot more to fill up your car than, So, we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Any other discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay. I will send the official email to the co-chairs of the select board asking that they please ask department heads to curb their spending as best they can to ensure that we don't have overages.
Okay.
Karen?
Yep.
Question.
Yep.
The old adage, use it or lose it, spend it before does that happen here?
Oh, yeah.
So
I'm sorry.
I
I was
could
trying to
address-
figure out a way to keep it quiet. I can't. Oh, yeah.
we could address things
I mean, it's,
But that's the idea of going out with a note now, so that those folks that might be participating in that philosophy stop.
I mean, I understand. We very closely budget all of these department heads, and I know they all do a great job of using what they have. But we're asking them to do a little bit more this year because we had a lot of things that went up that we weren't prepared for. I don't think any of us could have foreseen the jump that we
No.
saw.
So this is sort of like it was what we went through last year. We were in this situation with the budget. We were trying to cut and manage. And we're into the fiscal year now, and we're trying to do the same thing and take away, trying to manage the spending that's occurring. So
The only way to do this is gonna be free cash, and they wanna spend free cash on everything else.
Well, there isn't a lot of
There
free
isn't any
cash.
free cash.
No, but there's $124,000, and that may get us there, or that may not get us there, but there's no other money. Unless free cash comes up that we don't know about. I don't know.
Well, free cash won't, the new free cash number doesn't get certified until November.
Yeah.
So any monies that we have now, we have $200,000 in snow and ice.
But if we don't have money to pay our bills we meaning the town, not the finance board, that's not our job. The selectmen are gonna have to figure out where the money's gonna come from, 'cause we make a recommendation on what's asked to be spent, is what we do.
So I guess where I'm going with this is we better spend some of that ARPA money ASAP. As
It
much
seems
as
like
we
that
can.
would be a
It's
place
about
to do
where else
something.
you're gonna go,
Correct.
right?
Absolutely.
As long as it's allowable.
Yes.
And some of it is, right, Karen?
well, spend it on what's allowable, and if we need to, we can transfer what's required from someplace to someplace else, right?
Well, if there's some of that left.
Right.
Because I know, we know that in health insurance, they budget in an extra family plan. Well, maybe that won't be used, so maybe we can take that in, but maybe not. So we gotta kind of look at all of that and see what we've got available, because that has helped us in the past.
Right.
I mean,
Hey guys, it's Leah. Can you hear me?
yes,
If I may,
go ahead.
I have a question. I know that this is by no means a favorable idea, but is it possible that snow and ice deficit is held onto until the fall when we are anticipating having additional free cash and taken care of? Then that would free up the remaining free cash in June for these other potential unexpected expenses. I'm not advocating to use that towards projects, but if fuel costs and other overages that were kind of unexpected, unplanned, unforeseen hit, is there a way to defer that snow and ice deficit until the fall?
Okay, so now I'm gonna be devil's advocate. With as tight as we've budgeted, there's going to be less free cash.
In the fall.
And there might not be $200,000 in the fall. And then what do we do?
Yeah, and I don't know what I would just, again, I don't know. I would ask if the projects that have closed, the Main Street property, if that would be definitely closed and we would see that free cash in the fall. I know that the Heights is up in the air as far as all of that, so I wouldn't necessarily want to count on that. But that was just, again, normally I would not advocate that at all. I would rather just kind of tie up those ends, but I don't know if it's an option.
And what does that do? We'd have to request to see what that does to our free cash because we wouldn't be settled. So doesn't that harm us? With the Department of Local Services who certifies free cash?
Can you deficit spend from year to year?
Well, that's what I mean. Can you carry the debt over?
But you're gonna have to look at what the rules, whatever the state, you can deficit spend, but there's rules that go with that. Does it have to be paid back right then, or, either the town accountant or Bureau of Accounts?
Right, I just look at it as,
Council's gotta
I'm
answer
not
that question.
looking, I don't think we're gonna see a sizable amount of money coming in next year either with free cash because we don't have a lot of unspent funds.
Right.
Right.
Well, you say that, but isn't Rutland Heights gonna come around by then?
By June 30th,
No, next year.
in
Okay,
order
won't
for
be.
it to be free cash for us to spend in the fall, it has to be in our hands by June 30th.
Yeah. So if it comes in next year, it's not till
You're right.
the
Right.
following.
So, yeah, because, yes. Yeah, because yes, ordinarily I'd be like, okay, we can bank on that, but we can't because chances of it being closed by June 30th and us having the check deposited to roll it over, yeah, I think that's pie in the sky.
But a good.
Yeah, the only thing I would ask is if the property, next to Dunkin' Donuts Main Street property would be in by the fall. I don't remember off the top of my head what that dollar amount is. Again, maybe it's totally not feasible. I just am trying to look at any and all possible options and understand what the outcome, what the process is and pros and cons of all of it are. So
Yeah, I mean,
I trust you guys.
We'd have to talk with Dan and find out what that is. My only concern is that we kicked the can down the road and then we ended up with last year. I'd say any of us who went through last year
Won't go through it again.
won't go through it again. So I don't want to be there in the fall going, okay, so how are we going to get this? And, that's the thing. I get it. It might be allowed, but is it smart? When there are some things that are beyond our control, and we do have funds that can be used to help us offset this one-time oops that wasn't seen. None of us, even personally, could have possibly thought that gas would go up nearly as much as it did so fast. Never mind municipally. So, I mean, I'll definitely call Dan and ask. I don't have an issue. I'll call Dan and ask, but I just want to make sure that, we're not going to hurt our rating, our free cash availability. And then what's the issue with when we don't have enough free cash that comes in? I mean, yes, the property by Dunkin' Donuts is $224,000, but when is that coming in? Has it been, that's the thing. And by the time next November comes around, we usually have departments that have had stuff that they need.
Yeah.
I mean, so I don't know. I just look at that as putting it on a credit card and running up and paying interest on it. That's how I look at that. It's almost better to close the year with the year and be done. But I mean, I'm being told that we can spend the ARPA funds on the fuel. We have the ARPA funds, and it's a good use. It's probably a better use to help the town than some of the other uses that I've heard that are nice but not necessary.
Right. Nice to have.
How
So
much money's in the ARPA fund that we have available to us right now?
I don't know.
Could we ask that question? I'd love to know that answer.
I don't know, what else we got?
Call Dan tomorrow.
Thank you.
Is there any other discussions for this evening?
Well, the only other question I have is, do you need any help with the spreadsheet that you're working on?
No, I will be sending this out tonight for
Okay.
everyone to look at
Yep.
and see if it makes sense to everybody.
And that's
I-
gonna be based on his ups and downs sheet.
It's based upon what was said to us. There were some changes to his amounts. From what I took the amount right off of what you said, it was different than the amount he had, but I have to make one change. It won't be tonight. It'll be tomorrow or
Yeah.
Saturday. I have to make one change because the up and down is based upon the budget requests and the town administrator budget, and I want it off the finance committee so we can see.
Okay.
But other than that, then we can look at it. I've tried to highlight every single change in blue so that we'll know exactly why, and so they kind of pop out.
Okay.
And there's notes, I try to put notes in a lot of them.
Yeah, but it doesn't really make any difference when any of these other numbers were out. It's what the numbers that we've been over and talked about that you've
Exactly.
recorded and put down, so
Right.
that's what we've got as our base now to
Exactly,
work from for
that's
the
our
total
finance committee budget.
And then we go
Right.
from there.
And he's had that adjustment sheet, so we're gonna be all right. I mean, we may not like the numbers, but at the end,
We're definitely better than we were, but we now have to start looking at
Right.
stuff like the $25,000. Is that enough in the reserve fund?
Yeah.
Right.
We don't have enough in fuel. How are we, we're not gonna be able to budget enough for fuel without a 2.5 override, I think.
So do we anticipate, and this is, I don't know where we go with this, maybe it's Joe, but do we anticipate that the difficulties with fuel today will be as significant in November of next year? Is there anybody that is able to look at that and say, you know, it's $17 a gallon now, and it's going to
Tamika,
be...
get that glass ball out right
I was
on
gonna
that.
I was gonna say,
Let's
I
go.
know,
We need that look.
No,
I was gonna say, I know President Biden's, you know, letting go all of these oil
Reserves.
back, you know, and it's supposed to help. Have you seen any help?
No.
Okay,
No.
so we don't know how long this mess is gonna happen or what other new messes might come up.
So the question then is, with what we currently know,
Yeah.
which is what we're experiencing,
Mhm.
We're anticipating that that rate of spend will occur, will continue going into next year.
Oh, God, yeah.
And that's in our budget today,
No,
No,
so we need to
We-
get that. That's
for-
what-
Increase it.
for the town fuel, he pretty much added $3,000, I believe, over what was last year.
Okay,
And what we had for last year is done as of like tomorrow or right around there, goes
Right.
into the red.
something doesn't make sense to me here, though. If it's gone up, they're looking for $60,000, they think,
6,500,
to make the end of the year.
yes,
wait, 6,500 or 65?
6,500.
I thought it was
6,500. Okay.
Might have been, was it,
Was it?
I'm sorry, guys. I'm reading all of these emails,
Yeah.
trying to
No, I
commit them in
understand.
memory.
What
I'm
is it?
doing stuff with my forecast at the
Okay,
office,
so
so I
what
don't
is the
remember all
number?
the.
I thought she said something else too, so.
So I'll send it all out,
Okay.
and you guys can all
Alright.
read it. I'm sorry, not all
No,
of it
that's fine.
stays.
yeah.
I don't
Well,
disagree.
I feel better about 6,500 times.
But
4.
even, but even 6,500 is a lot of money with where
Right.
we're at.
Right, but if you go, right, but if you go 65,000 times 4, it's gonna scare
Oh,
you.
no,
even more.
no.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes,
That's what
no,
you-
no, no, no.
And you'll have that opportunity to
Yeah,
give us
because wasn't
answers.
the total fuel budget like 40,000?
83.
Huh?
Our total fuel budget
Well, that was in the budget, that was,
within the budget, I think, is 83,000.
oh, 83, okay. Well, that doesn't,
Yeah.
that doesn't
I
make
believe.
sense, but.
Of course, when
figure
you're
it out.
looking for it, you can't find it. But I will send all of those emails. Joe explains exactly how, when we say we sign a contract, it's not like when you sign a contract with your oil company and you prepay it. It's, you're gonna get, you sign on that the transportation bringing it to you
Stays the same.
will stay with only
Pay
a
over rack.
mile versus
Right.
the actual fuel.
Right.
And they don't pay the taxes, so that helps. So, other than that,
If I may, I just wanted to know, do you guys have any thoughts as to how or when we want to meet going forward?
Oh, good question.
I still think it's for the next, I don't know, you guys tell me, but I think it's gonna be beneficial. The warrant closed on Tuesday, so we will be, I'm hoping that the select board will ask us for a joint meeting again, like we've done in the past. We're gonna have to go through that and give our recommendations. I don't think we need to go 2 days a week, but I think it's smart to get us on the books for at least once a week. And then if we can cancel, we can cancel, but I think it's smart to say from now, it's only another,
Yeah,
but 3
May.
weeks.
3 or 4 weeks, yeah.
yeah.
We'll stick
So,
with Thursdays for right now.
That's what I'm saying. I think 3
Yeah.
weeks, we're not there yet.
Right.
We can probably get there, but then we have to go through all the warrant articles and then finalize some of those things.
4 exactly weeks from today,
Yeah,
right?
so-
Because the 7th.
Yeah, yeah. So, I mean, it goes fast, so that
Uh-huh.
was the thing. I'm thinking once a week,
Right.
unless somebody has a different thing. We can move meetings to Saturdays, that's a legal date to meet. Friday nights, Saturdays.
Go ahead and do it.
Go ahead,
You'll
go
have
ahead.
but you'll have your own little
Hey,
quorum.
why not?
I'm throwing it out there.
You could have your own little quorum.
So how do you want to do that? You want to just, do we make a motion or just? go
No, we
ahead?
don't even need a motion for that, so,
No, we
I'll
just
just
do
plan it,
Thursday.
and then if we cancel, we cancel.
right,
So
exactly,
is to Tommy's point, Thursday's okay?
Thursdays.
Oh, it's okay.
Is that okay with everybody? You're awfully quiet over there.
Great. That's great.
Woo-hoo!
7
Just
o'clock would be
marvelous.
better, but I know I'm not gonna get that, so.
Do you wanna meet, is 7 better for everybody else? Would that work for everybody else?
Well, depending upon what it is that we're going to be talking, if we're going to go through the entire warrant, 7 o'clock is a little late,
That's a lot late.
because we'll be here at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Do we have to make the, do we have to send a formal letter to the selectmen to say, let's get together and talk about your
Your warrant?
I can send that in the same email when I ask them. I'm assuming, they've been very good, so I'm assuming
Right.
that's not gonna change. But I will remind them that
Love
we'd
to
like to
chat.
be, we'd love to have a joint meeting. It made it a little bit easier so that we were all on the same page.
And we all heard the same stuff at the same time and didn't have to get repeated and et cetera.
And then that way, when we ask questions, we
Right.
didn't like rush to place something, we held off and all that kind of stuff, so. Cause the warrant needs to be up and running in 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
So
If it's 4
would a,
weeks,
would
yeah.
a 6:30 timeframe be a good compromise for you?
You know, back to what you said, if we're looking at a real long night, 6 o'clock, but if, you know, if we're getting
Maybe
together
we
for
can
something.
get the meeting with the selectmen on
Quickly.
Thursday night.
I'll ask.
Well, we should, I know Ted, I'm not opposed to the 7, but we've only got 4 more weeks, so then we just stick with 6 for now and keep going until we're done.
And you get here when you get here.
Anything else?
A motion to adjourn.
Second.
Any discussion? Any complaints? All in favor?
Do we really wanna go there tonight there, sweet pea?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Okay, we are done at 6:58.